run a business, maybe a tech company or a manufacturer. Everything's going great until something goes wrong. Your software crashes and halts a client's operations and causing them a 50 lakh rupee loss. The client threatens to sue. That's when the limitation of liability clause saves you. It's a safety net in your contract. This one clause can mean the difference between a minor loss and financial disaster. Let's start with the first question. What is a limitation of liability clause? In the simplest possible words, it's a part of your contract that says, if something goes wrong, here's the maximum amount of damage one party can claim from the other. It sets boundaries. Without it, liability is open-ended, meaning, if your mistake causes a loss of 1 crore rupees, you might be asked to pay the full 1 crore rupees. With it, you might only be responsible for 10 lakh rupees, or whatever the contract says. So, think of it like an insurance policy written in your own contract. It tells everyone, we'll take responsibility, but only up to a reasonable amount. Why is it important? Now, why do we even need this clause? Let's take it step by step. 1. It manages risk. Every business carries risk, delays, defects, miscommunication, tech failures. These things happen even to the best of us. A limitation clause helps manage that risk by limiting how much you owe if things go wrong. It gives you predictability. You can plan your finances knowing that your worst case scenario won't destroy your business. Biceps 2. It builds confidence to do business. If two companies are entering into a deal, especially for high-value projects, both sides feel safer knowing that there's a limit to how much they can lose. It's like saying, we trust each other, but we've both got our seatbelts on. 3. It ensures fairness. This clause keeps things balanced. The risk is shared, not dumped entirely on one party. For example, if a client is paying 10 lakh rupee for a service, it's only fair that the maximum liability is linked to that amount, not something 10 times higher. So overall, it's about fairness, confidence, and survival in the world of business. Book what types of limitation clauses exist? There are different ways companies limit their liability. Let's look at the most common ones, in simple words. Small diamond 1. Caps on damages. This one puts a clear number as the limit. For example, our total liability will not exceed the amount you paid us in the last 12 months. That means if the client paid 15 lakh rupees, that's the absolute maximum claim, no matter what. Small diamond 2. Exclusion of consequential damages. This means you're not responsible for indirect losses, like lost profits, loss of reputation, or data loss. You'll still fix what went wrong, but you're not paying for a chain reaction of financial effects that spiral out. Small diamond 3. Time limits for claims. This clause says claims must be made within a specific time, for example, within 6 months after the issue is discovered. That way, no one can drag up a dispute from years ago. Small diamond 4. Disclaimers. These simply say, we are not responsible for certain events. For example, we are not liable for losses caused by third-party service providers or force majeure events like natural disasters. Of course, you can't use this to excuse fraud or intentional wrongdoing. The law won't allow that. What makes these clauses legal or enforceable? Courts do allow these clauses, but only if they're fair and clear. That means, the clause must be easy to find in the contract, not hidden in fine print. It must be clear in language. Both sides should easily understand what's being limited. And it must be reasonable. You can't say, we're not responsible for anything at all, ever. That's not going to hold up. Different countries handle this differently too. In India and the UK, these clauses are usually valid if fair and transparent. In some European countries, courts may only allow limits for direct damage, not indirect ones. That's why it's always important to get legal advice when drafting these. Real-world examples. Here's how limitation clauses actually look in real business contracts. In an escrow agreement, it might say, the escrow agent will not be liable except for willful misconduct or gross negligence. In a software license, it could say, the company's total liability shall not exceed the total fees paid, and it shall not be liable for indirect or consequential losses. In a manufacturing contract, it might read, the buyer's sole remedy is a replacement or repair. The supplier is not liable for loss of profits or revenue. These examples show how each business shapes the clause to fit its specific risks. If you remember one thing from this talk, let it be this: limitation of liability clauses are not about escaping responsibility, they're about balancing it. They protect both sides, create trust, and make sure one bad event doesn't destroy a business. So whether you're a small startup or a large corporation, always include, review, and understand this clause in every contract you sign. Because one well-drafted line in your contract today could save your company tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful legal content every week.